Right, welcome back again. This is African Streamline. I am Atamba Haiti. Thank you so much for tuning in. We know that Ibrahim Traore has been having a very difficult time to travel in Africa because the one thing we've never wanted, and all the times we keep on finding it so difficult to allow, is when Ibrahim Traore wants to traverse, or rather to maybe go from from one country to another using a chopper, because we know the life of Ibrahim Traore has always been at stake. Okay, and there are many hunters out here who are hunting Ibrahim Traore. Some of them are even the black people, and we don't know, because you heard Ibrahim Traore talking about the master sending their servants, their servants using black people to kill black people, a brother killing a brother, and some things like those ones. And therefore, like, the life of Ibrahim Traore has been at stake here. Are you getting my point? And therefore, it has been very difficult for Ibrahim Traore to go. Even sometimes when he's given invitations to go to some other countries, like for example, he was given an invitation to go to Gabon to witness the inauguration of the president of Gabon, okay? But he didn't go. Rather, he sent a representative, because it is not safe as Ibrahim Traore travels to from one place to another, because anything can happen. We know these people do not have good faith, and they don't have good plans, okay? And therefore, anything can happen. Yeah, the only inauguration, the last country I saw Ibrahim Traore visiting was Ghana. He visited Ghana last year when there was was it last year? I think last year, when we had the inauguration of John Mahama's. Okay, and before Ibrahim Traore went to that inauguration, Ibrahim Traore he said he will not go. Okay. He said he will not go, he will send a representative. But at the end of the day, he went. So even when he was traveling, nobody knew that Ibrahim Traore was actually traveling. So he had to play some tricks to travel to Ghana, and then he came back from Ghana to Burkina Faso, and it was a safe travel to and from, and we thank God for that. Okay? Since that time, I haven't seen Ibrahim Traore traveling to another country until today. Until yesterday, when he traveled to Moscow, Russia, to witness the 80th anniversary celebration, 80th anniversary, as Vladimir Putin and Russia are celebrating their victory. Okay, now this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about how I wanted to thank Vladimir Putin, and to put Vladimir Putin in the picture, because Vladimir Putin had to send special planes and special jets, okay, to come to Burkina Faso in order to pick Ibrahim Traore, which means Vladimir Putin, first of all, he ensured the safety of Captain Ibrahim Traore is very, his safety is on top, okay. He made sure that Captain Ibrahim Traore is very, very safe before traveling from Burkina Faso to Moscow, Russia. What does it mean? It shows that that President Vladimir Putin really, really, really takes care of Captain Ibrahim Traore, and he respects him so much, because he wanted him to go to Russia. And, if it would be another president, maybe, because if other presidents were invited, but they traveled by themselves to Russia. I've seen, is this Zambian president? I think Zambian president was also part of the people who were in Russia. And I don't know which other African president I've seen, but I've seen Zambian president, and I've seen Ibrahim Traore. I don't know if I've been able to see another president there. But if you've seen, maybe you can be able to tell me in the comment section. But those ones were not the priority. Captain Ibrahim Traore was the priority. And that is why Vladimir Putin had to send the military officers with the special jets from Russia to come and pick Captain Ibrahim Traore to Russia, to ensure that he is very safe, just to prioritize his safety before traveling. And it is something that I really, really, really found so amazing and so wonderful. Okay, and I thank God for that, because this man needs to be taken care of, and this man needs to be safe. Okay, so by doing that, I think it made his safety, like, it brought his safety in the picture, and he is very safe right now in Russia. And we are hoping also, as he's coming back to Africa, he will come back to Africa and land to Burkina Faso safe and sound. Let's watch this video, and they'll tell me what you think in the comment section about this video, and about what I've just talked about Vladimir Putin having to send the special jets and planes to come together with the militaries to come and take Ibrahim Traore to Russia. And then I'll do my best to make sure I read all the comments and give a response where possible. If it's the first time to be here, that subscription box, just press it. And for the 10 subscribers, I salute you guys so much. Adios.
Captain TRAORE. On the grand stage of global power, one figure walks with quiet strength and fierce purpose. As Captain Ibrahim Traore stands shoulder to shoulder with world leaders, he carries more than the pride of a nation. He carries the heartbeat of a continent. This is not a symbol of allegiance. It is a declaration of presence. Africa is no longer knocking at the door. Africa is stepping through it. Bold, sovereign, unstoppable. To every young African watching, this is your call. Your face belongs in the halls of power. Your voice belongs in the decisions that shape tomorrow. From the resilient soil of Burkina Faso to the global arena in Moscow, the message is clear. This is the era of African resurgence. This is how we make Africa great. In May 2025, a moment of symbolic and strategic significance took place. While much of the world looked to the east for signs of shifting alliances, a VIP Russian aircraft, the Il-96-300, took off, not for Beijing or Berlin, but for Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso. Its mission, to pick up Captain Ibrahim Traore, the young and defiant leader of Burkina Faso, and bring him to Moscow as a special guest of President Vladimir Putin. This moment, seemingly small in the chaos of global headlines, carried immense weight for Africa. It represented the repositioning of a continent that has long been a passive player in global politics, now stepping into a role of agency, strategy, and strength. Captain Traore, representing not just Burkina Faso, but the broader AES bloc, the alliance of Sahel states, is being recognized not for compliance, but for courage. His presence at Victory Day isn't a show of submission. It's a declaration. Africa is no longer on the sidelines. The AES, consisting of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, was formed as a response to shared challenges: terrorism, economic instability, and Western interference. What began as military-led transitions evolved into a broader regional vision for sovereignty, security, and self-determination. Each of these nations has faced immense pressure from international institutions and foreign governments, particularly France and the EU. In response, the AES has rejected foreign military presence and aid conditionalities, instead turning inward and eastward for strength. Together, these states envision a new security and economic alliance that works for Africans, by Africans. Traore's trip to Moscow is not just symbolic, it's strategic. It shows that the AES bloc is seeking allies who respect their sovereignty and who see Africa as a partner, not a project. Russia's engagement with Africa has grown significantly in the last decade, particularly with nations seeking alternatives to Western hegemony. From arms deals and infrastructure to energy and diplomacy, Moscow has presented itself as a power willing to engage Africa without colonial baggage. While Western media often paints these partnerships as manipulative, many African leaders and thinkers see it differently. Russia offers leverage, a chance to play multiple powers off each other for Africa's benefit. For Traore and the AES, Russia offers support in defense, infrastructure, and political backing at the international level. More importantly, it reflects a pivot away from unilateral dependence toward a multipolar foreign policy that empowers African voices. Victory Day in Russia commemorates the Soviet victory over Nazi Germany, but in recent years, it has become a geopolitical stage. World leaders who attend signal not only respect, but alignment. This year, the presence of President Xi Jinping of China, President Lula of Brazil, and leaders from Belarus, Serbia, and Slovakia shows that Moscow is still building coalitions, despite Western sanctions. For Traore, attending Victory Day is not just about honoring Russia's history. It's about showing the world that Africa chooses its own friends, that Africa can honor its heroes while building new partnerships on its own terms. Predictably, Western media has responded with caution, concern, and criticism. Some have accused Traoré of aligning with dictatorships or turning away from democracy. But these critiques often ignore the lived realities of Sahelian nations and the hypocrisy of Western double standards. The truth is more complex. Many African nations are tired of being lectured by those who've historically exploited them. They seek partners who offer respect, not rhetoric. Traoré's Moscow visit may unsettle the old guard, but for many Africans, it signals progress. It says, we're not waiting for permission anymore. Traoré is not alone. Leaders like Assimi Goïta in Mali and Abdourahmane Tiani in Niger are part of a wave of young, assertive, and self-reliant African presidents. Though controversial in international circles, they enjoy massive domestic support. What unites them is not ideology, but purpose: to secure their countries, control their resources, and pursue development without foreign interference. This is the essence of Pan-Africanism in the 21st century. Not just political unity, but collective strength built through shared values, mutual support, and visionary leadership. Of course, there are risks. Attending such high-profile events amid security threats, including drone attacks on Moscow, is dangerous. Aligning too closely with any superpower carries its own burdens. And building African unity across diverse political systems, cultures, and economies is no easy feat. But African leaders like Traoré seem willing to take these risks, not for personal gain, but to reshape their country's futures. And history shows, great change always comes with resistance. For Africa to truly rise, it must be willing to walk difficult roads, and it must walk them together. As Traoré walks alongside world leaders on Victory Day, his presence sends a powerful message. Africa is here, not as a follower, but as a force. It is a signal to the youth of Africa that their future can be shaped by those who look like them, speak their languages, and share their hopes. It is a signal to the world that Africa is not a passive continent. It is the world's next center of gravity. From Burkina Faso to Moscow, from past struggles to future triumphs, this is the story of African resurgence. This is how we make Africa great. In Moscow, Captain Traoré will hold one-on-one talks with President Vladimir Putin, a meeting confirmed by Kremlin advisor Yuri Ushakov. But more than just a photo op, this face-to-face with Putin, and the presence of Xi Jinping of China and Lula da Silva of Brazil, signals a tectonic shift. This is the BRICS world. And Africa is not just knocking on the door, it's walking through it. The Western narrative has long painted African military leaders as rogue, unstable, or illegitimate. But as Captain Traoré stands beside Xi, Putin, and Lula, the message to the global north is unmistakable. The old model is crumbling. For decades, the West has relied on puppet regimes and extractive relationships. But those days are numbered. Africa's new leaders, sovereign, self-determined, are reshaping the rules. There remains, however, a class of African presidents who still bow to foreign masters, exchanging sovereignty for stability and natural wealth for foreign approval. These leaders are not just out of touch, they are out of time. As nations like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger pivot eastward, a continental realignment is underway. The people demand dignity, not dependency. This is not just about one leader or one nation. It is about a continent stepping into the multipolar future. A future where Africa is not a battleground for superpowers, but a superpower in its own right. The presence of Captain Traoré in Moscow is symbolic. It says, we will partner, but on our terms. We will trade, but we will not be traded. To the youth of Africa watching this moment, know this: the world is watching you back. Your leaders are beginning to look like you, speak like you, dream like you. This is not the end of Africa's story. It is the beginning of a new chapter, written in our own handwriting, on our own terms. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's meeting with Putin is more than diplomacy. It is history. It is resistance. It is vision. As the sun rises on May 9th, it rises not only over Moscow, but over a new African century. The question is no longer if Africa will lead. The question is, how soon? Africa is changing. A quiet storm is turning into a bold revolution, not with weapons, but with ideas, identity, and leadership. From Burkina Faso to Moscow, a new generation is rising, not asking for permission, but claiming its rightful place on the world stage. Since taking power, Captain TRAORE has captured the imagination of millions across Africa. Young, disciplined, and principled, he speaks not in the language of submission, but in the voice of a continent that's tired of exploitation. He has challenged Western influence, rejected foreign military bases, and emphasized self-reliance, economically, militarily, and culturally. And by aligning with global powers like Russia, TRAORE is rebalancing the scales, refusing to be a pawn in someone else's game. His actions speak louder than his words. Africa must define its own path, free from fear and full of pride. To understand TRAORE's mission, we must look back to Thomas Sankara, the iconic revolutionary leader of Burkina Faso in the 1980s. Sankara fought for dignity, justice, and self-determination, and he paid the ultimate price. Today, TRAORE evokes that same spirit. Many call him Sankara reborn, not because he imitates, but because he continues a legacy interrupted. He understands that Burkina Faso's fight is not just national, it's continental. It's about showing all Africans that true independence is possible. Across Africa, young people are no longer waiting. They are organizing, resisting, building. In Burkina Faso, youth movements have backed TRAORE with unmatched energy. But it's not just about one man. It's about a vision. A vision of an Africa that owns its land, its labor, its destiny. An Africa that educates its people, uplifts its women, honors its culture, and builds its own future. These youth are the spark that will ignite a continent-wide transformation. They are not asking for handouts. They are demanding respect. Russia's relationship with Africa is complex, but today, it is being rewritten. Countries like Burkina Faso are forming new partnerships based on mutual respect and shared history. Russia supported African liberation in the Cold War era, and now, once again, it opens its arms. But this is not about trading one empire for another. TRAORE and others are not looking for masters. They are building alliances that serve African interests. Africa is learning to negotiate from a position of strength, not desperation. And that, alone, is revolutionary. Often overlooked, Burkina Faso is now leading by example. Despite poverty, threats, and foreign pressure, it stands firm. It has expelled foreign military bases, launched its own defense efforts, and inspired a wave of Pan-African unity. What TRAORE represents is not perfection, but courage. And that courage has made Burkina Faso the spiritual capital of Africa's awakening. Captain Ibrahim Traore's visit to Russia is not just about international politics. It's a message to Africans everywhere. The world is watching, and we are finally writing our own story. From the spirit of Sankara to the energy of the youth, from Ouagadougou to Moscow, Africa is rising, and the world better be